to today's Legal Leaders podcast, brought to you by WiseR Legal. Today, our very special guest is Sam Perussich, and she comes to us as a specialist government and litigation lawyer, and particularly deals within the criminal prosecutions and law enforcements. Sam has worked in various roles in both Commonwealth and State government law enforcement agencies. Her specialities lie within the intersection between civil and criminal law, from a public law perspective. Samantha has extensive experience in managing and leading organisations through strategic corporate governance and minimising legal risk. Samantha is passionate about social justice and advocacy within an ethical and integrity decision-making framework. Thank you so much, Samantha, and welcome to the show.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Karen. It's a real pleasure to be here. And thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Tell me, how did you get to be a lawyer?
Yes, so I've always had an interest in the law. It's something that I've sort of carried with me since high school, really, and that sort of came through a social justice perspective. So I've always seen the law as a vehicle, I guess, for change, and thought that I could, use that to advance social justice. And so that's really, the planting seed for me. And that's what led me to go on to study law and then to go into the law that I do today. So which is predominantly working in a prosecutions space with government. So have a strong sense of social justice in that regard.
And how do you fulfill that need to be part of the social justice system, working from the role you're in?
Yeah, so I've had, I suppose a varied career in the sense that it has consisted predominantly with working within government, so both at the state and federal level. And it's really provided me with an opportunity to, sort of see how the system interacts, like both federal and state, coming together and having some influence and perspective in that system. So I suppose the more senior you become and the more you sort of take on those leadership opportunities, you get to sort of influence that process and be part of that change and really affect, those decisions that have wide-reaching implications for the community. So it's a real honour and privilege to be part of that work.
Wow, it's really good to be able to go to work and feel that you're really making a change to our society and making it better.
Yeah, definitely. It's a real key driver for me in the work that I do, and I'm very passionate, about the law generally, and obviously using my skills to try and better society and get just outcomes for people. And obviously that's quite a complex thing to do. It's not an easy, the system is quite challenging and complicated. So working through that, especially it's very rewarding when you feel like you've made somewhat of a difference.
Wow. What advice would you give to somebody just getting started?
So this is a good question. So I also do some lecturing at university, and sometimes the students will come to me and ask, what career advice I can, give them. And I usually always say the same thing, which is to, follow your passions. And I know that sounds, quite cliche, but it really does make a huge difference. Like the law is, I think it's an excellent place to be in, but it is a very challenging environment, and it's rather competitive. So you really need to love what you do and bring that passion and that strength with you into your chosen field. So picking an area of law that you excel in, I think, is a really good way of maintaining the distance, I guess, in terms of a lifelong career, because it's going to be quite some time that you're there. So you want to love what you do.
So you've told us a bit about the area of law that you work in. Why did you choose prosecutions and the government system?
So I have always had an interest in criminal law, and essentially the application, generally the application of law within society, and thought that was a good way to sort of affect that kind of change. And I have done some work with defence, so I have worked with legal aid and some law firms doing sort of defendant work, but it was more, I guess, the outcomes and really working with people who are directly affected by, criminal offending, particularly victims, that really spoke to me a lot. And I thought I could use my skills to help in that regard. So that combination of, I suppose, passion and that skill and just finding your place and your niche, I guess, in that environment.
That's fascinating. So what's your favourite part about being a lawyer?
I really enjoy the advocacy part. So in the role that I do, I get to go to court quite a lot. And so that's, really great. I love, being a litigation lawyer and spending time in court. So that's, great to have sort of that intersection between advisory work and court-based work as well. So it's meeting different types of people throughout the work that's done, and also have a great team that I get to lead and influence. And so that's been really great as well, just being in that leadership sort of role.
So talk to me more about the leadership role and how you came to be in it and what it means to you.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to have opportunities, presented to me to, lead teams, that sort of thing. So I would recommend to anyone who is, starting out in the law to, put your hand up for those opportunities, and even things that you might not necessarily think that you're suited for, or that, you'd be good at or interested in. It's a good opportunity to just, have a go and see what happens, because other things might lead from there. So through essentially, working with various teams, I've and creating results, I've been able to, now lead a team of my own. So, which is really great, because it allows me to be, an effective leader, and that's really important to me, because I suppose growing up through the ranks of the law, there were some leaders that stood out that did it very well, and others that probably didn't do it as well. And so it's just about taking what you've learned and applying that, and trying to be, I suppose, the best version of what you see leadership to be, and trying to impart that to the people that you have the fortune of leading, essentially. Yeah.
Just to drill down a bit further into that, can you give me a couple of examples on things that you put your hand up for that might have been a bit outside your comfort zone that a new lawyer might like to consider?
So taking on sort of like, large scale litigation, so it's sort of leading almost like a project based work within the law. And, obviously any sort of litigation has many moving parts to it. And when it sort of, crosses different areas of law and different jurisdictions, so can seem like quite a large, piece of work to sort of be leading. But those kind of opportunities really do sort of implant, and cement your career in that sense, because they're quite, high profile, and you have the, opportunity to sort of really develop in the role and make it your own, and, show people, what you're capable of in terms of your legal skills, but also, looking after your team, and again, going back to that leadership style of, trying to be the best version, and of, leading by example, and being, authentic in your leadership style. So I think that really sort of sets the tone, and creates a really great working environment. And that's what I suppose you really want, is to have people who want to come to work and be part of that team and be part of that success, and get, achieve those outcomes.
Is there something that stands out right back at the beginning of your career, either as a brand new lawyer or before you were admitted, where you stuck your neck out and did something that terrified you and it went well?
So I remember, first starting out, like doing a lot of court appearances, and they can be quite daunting. Even as a seasoned practitioner, court appearances can be still daunting, but particularly when you're first starting out, and you're thinking that everything's going wrong, and you're saying the wrong things, and this is not going to go your way. But then you do actually get the outcome that you're seeking. Like you get, whatever it might be, the court order, or helping, your client advance to the next stage in that litigation process. And so you think, oh, well, I'm not doing such a terrible job if I can, make it to the next step, and you just, keep going in that way. But I must say, finding mentors, and I've really been quite fortunate to find some really great mentors to help in that journey, has been, really valuable. So I would definitely recommend people seek out more senior practitioners, particularly when you're starting out, because they've got heaps of stories that you can learn from, and they can help sponsor you, in the work that you're trying to do. So it's a real valuable experience.
Yeah, mentors are so important.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got one more burning question for you.
Yeah.
Lawyers have got to think on their feet.
Yes.
And no more than the biggest place you've got to think on your feet is in the courtroom.
Yes.
How do you teach yourself that skill?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. It's not something that I suppose comes easily to everyone, and a good way to sort of prepare for that is to anticipate what the questions might be. So it's sort of going through these scenarios in your mind of what they might ask, or if I were the judge sitting in that seat, what kind of questions would I want to know, and how best can I help the judge form a decision and come to a reasoned conclusion. So just sort of going through hypothetical scenarios and trying to come up with different responses, and just preparing for whatever comes your way. But I suppose you can't prepare for everything, and there'll be sometimes a curly question that you haven't thought of, and then that really puts you to the test of having to quickly think of a response on the spot. But to get at it.
Most of my work now I do remotely, but in days gone by I used to spend a lot of time in law offices. And I can so clearly remember some junior lawyers coming back from court absolutely devastated because they've been in trouble with the magistrate.
Yes, and that tends to happen from time to time. But to not lose, faith over that, and to just take it as a learning lesson. And, most, I suppose, magistrates and judges are trying to, better create advocates in the courtroom. So any, tips that they give you, take that on board. And it's a constant learning, process. So it's not a skill that, remains stale. It's something that's you're constantly perfecting over time. So so I look back to when I first started out until now, and there's definitely a difference there, and that's just a matter of practice and taking that feedback and just learning and applying it.
Okay, so thank you for sharing so many tips about what you've learned and your process along the way. If there's something you can leave our listeners today as your word of wisdom, what would it be?
Word of wisdom. So yes, I think sort of just drawing on what we've really talked about is, finding people that can be career champions for you. So, getting some great mentors and some great sponsors that can put you forward for opportunities that you're really seeking, and to think about what it is that you'd like to do, I suppose, long term. And I think that really comes, from a place of passion, and where you can sort of find, your skill set and your passion come together. That's where you want to sort of hone in on, and look to people who can support you in that vision. They're the parting words I would leave.
Well, thank you very much, Samantha. It's great to have had some time with you today, and we will move forward. And if there's anything you'd like to ask Samantha, come back to us at YSL Legal, and we can send some questions through if you've got some questions. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and have a fabulous day.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone.